Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about the travel industry and how it's being predicted to change with all this going on with Covid-19. So obviously Covid-19 has been detrimental to the travel industry. That's whether you own a hotel, work in a cafe, work for a tour operator like me. So I've already been impacted by Covid-19. The tour operator that I work for, Wild Frontiers, have had to reschedule all our departures for 2021 and cancel trips and get people home. So a big question right now is whether we will ever have normal travel again. So obviously there's a lot of uncertainty right now, but there are a few things that travel experts are predicting might happen. So here are the main predictions of what travel will look like after Covid-19. Because obviously Covid-19 is a virus, so unless we get a vaccine, it's not going to go away completely. But I'm talking more about after Covid-19, as in once we can travel again, cross borders and get flights for leisure purposes. So first I'm going to talk about some of the cons that people are predicting will happen to travel in the future. So the first prediction is that travel costs will go up. So whether you're a hotel or you own an excursion company, they are going to charge more for their services. This is simply because they have been significantly impacted. Some haven't survived this pandemic, and those that have survived the pandemic really need to get their income back. I know that some people argue, oh, they should then reduce their prices so they'll entice more customers in. But the reality is they just can't survive that with the way tourism's been impacted right now. That said, also flight costs are going to increase. It's predicted a flight from London to Budapest that cost £19.99 will probably go up to something like £99. And this is for the same reason that hotels, etc. Are going to have to increase their costs. It's just so that they can survive the lack of funds they made during this whole pandemic. There are half the number of flights right now than there were last year worldwide, with key players already going bust. Covid-19 has been estimated to lose the flight industry £113 billion. So if there's any flight companies still alive after this, they're really going to need to make up that money. So another cost that's going to go up, unfortunately, is travel insurance. So travel insurance companies are going to have to put in the cost of their premiums, the cost of bringing someone home in case an epidemic spreads in the country that they are travelling in. To explain to you why this needs to be an extra cost, I'll give you an example from when I went to New York in 2010 with my family on a holiday. We got stuck in New York an extra week because of the Icelandic ash cloud. Our travel insurance company at the time told us that they wouldn't cover us because it wasn't specifically in our travel insurance. It never happened before this situation, so travel insurance companies didn't really know what to do. So we had to spend an extra week in New York, which isn't cheap. So when we finally got to fly back a week later, there had been so much backlash to the travel insurance companies for not covering their clients that they finally decided they'd pay us all the money back for that extra week, so we stressed for absolutely no reason. My point is, this is why travel insurance companies need to put that cost now into their premiums, because they need to be able to afford to bring people back in case another pandemic arises. Another con, this is less to do with costs, but more to do with logistics. Borders will be opening hopefully again soon, but they won't all be opening at the same time. So this will limit the places that you can travel. Additionally, if you're like me, I'm from the UK, we have over 20,000 deaths of coronavirus here. So some countries might not want people from the UK coming into their borders, but they might allow countries that are less affected in. Another thing that is going to be a big change to travel is sanitation. There's going to be increased sanitation at airports, hotels, train stations, everywhere. And they're probably also going to be testing people's temperatures as they come into the country. Now this is going to be a big logistical thing for airports, etc. And it's going to cost them a lot of money, so that could take time to implement. A worry that some experts have is that some people might not want to book an Airbnb because they're worried that it's not going to be sanitised to the same level like a big hotel chain like Marriott would. So another thing is that there'll be far fewer older travellers, so those that are in the high-risk category of Covid-19. This will really impact the travel industry because retired people usually have the time and money to go travelling during the shoulder season, so outside of the summer holidays. So this could significantly impact how and where we travel. So here's some of my pros on how travel could be changed. So in terms of pollution, there's going to be less flights and less cruise ships. I feel like Covid-19 has given Mother Nature the breath of fresh air she really needed. So how can we make sure that when we can travel again, we don't reach the levels of air pollution we were creating before? Well, first of all, as I mentioned, there's going to be increased cost of flights, so that will help with less people flying. But this will also create an influx of domestic tourism. So people are more likely to be staying within their own country instead of travelling halfway across the world for their holidays. This means we have the opportunity to discover things about our own country we didn't even realise. I think this will really change the psyche of the way people travel. Why do we feel like we need to travel halfway across the world to have a good time anyway, when we can easily have it right here where we are? I recommend a really good book called The Art of Travel, which talks all about the psychology of travelling and why do we feel like we're unhappy where we are in our lives and feel the need to go travelling anyway. I'll put a link below. Another pro of domestic tourism is that train travel will increase, so that will also help reduce flight pollution. Actually, one of the industries that is looking to not be too significantly affected by COVID-19 is the train travel industry. Train costs aren't really going to increase very much. The only thing that will go down is probably the amount of services that trains will have on the same line. I've already made plans to go interrailing in Europe, hopefully, when all the borders open again. And this will be much better than if I flew across different destinations in Europe. Another way we can rethink our travel is by having less wasteful behaviours. So big hotel chains and big cruise ships usually have these huge breakfast buffets that people can help themselves to. And it's so gluttonous because we usually eat more than we need to and there's so much food waste at the end because we don't finish it all. So maybe we'll have less breakfast buffets if we have less tourists after COVID-19 and people will actually order what they want to eat and there'll be less food waste. So we could really have an opportunity to remove these wasteful behaviours. So a pro to less tourists is that there'll probably be less over-tourism. So if you want to go travel somewhere and take an epic photo without having to worry about any tourists getting in the way, it could be the perfect time. I saw this myself when I went to Sri Lanka in 2017. We went to see elephants on a safari and there was just way too many jeeps to elephants. I would say about half as many jeeps as there were to elephants. And this actually really ruined the experience for me. I'd never seen elephants in the wild. I was so excited, but because there were so many tourists and they seemed to be clearly stressing out the elephants, I don't have fond memories of it. So if we have less over-tourism, people are gonna talk about these places more with good feedback and recommend it more to people. But of course then we need to make sure that when we have an influx of tourism again, that we're able to keep tourism to a level that's not detrimental. So we have the opportunity to create levels of tourism that isn't harmful to the local people or the local environment. So the last thing is that a lot of travellers are predicted to reconnect more with nature and do more holidays that are active and good for them. This is because of all the people working out at home and missing being outdoors. So if we have more people visiting national parks where they're further away from other people and have fresh air, so less likely to get infected, then this could really help the country's wildlife and habitats. So here are just some of the predictions for what's going to happen to the travel industry over the coming year or years. Yes, the unknown is very scary and it's giving me a lot of anxiety right now, especially someone who works within the travel industry. But I think it's important that we try and look at the positives. We can make a new normal, a new way of travelling that's better for everyone. I think that's pretty cool. So let me know, how have your travel plans been impacted by COVID-19? And how are you planning to do any future travels? If you have any questions about the travel industry, please comment below. Obviously like this video and subscribe if you want more. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook and also check out my blog below. I've also attached some links to the articles that I've been talking about so you can do a bit of extra reading. Alright, thanks guys, bye!